The Nexar Dominion had existed for 12,000 cycles, spreading across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. They had encountered 47 spacefaring species, absorbed 39 into their empire, and relegated the rest to insignificant corners of space. So when they first detected the primitive radio signals from Earth, they expected nothing different. They were wrong. Ambassador Krell stood before the High Council, his scaled hide reflecting the pale blue light of the chamber. Supreme One, the humans have accepted our invitation for first contact. They're sending their foremost xenobiologist, Dr. Sarah Chen, to the neutral station in the Proxima system. The Supreme One's massive form shifted on the crystalline throne. And you're certain they pose no threat? Their technology is centuries behind ours, Krell replied, mandibles clicking in amusement. They still use chemical rockets for most of their space travel. Their most advanced ships barely reach 10% light speed. Yet they colonized their system rather quickly, the Supreme One noted. Through persistence and inefficient methods, yes. They're like vault crawlers, slow but determined. Their real value lies in their biological sciences. This Dr. Chen has made remarkable breakthroughs in xenobiology. Her research could accelerate our genetic enhancement programs by decades. The Supreme One's approval rippled through the psychic field that connected all Nexar. Very well. Proceed with the contact. But remember, we absorb or we eliminate. There is no middle ground. The neutral station hung in space like a jewel, its crystalline structures refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Dr. Sarah Chen's shuttle approached slowly, broadcasting the agreed-upon recognition signals. At 45, she had devoted her life to understanding alien biology. Her recent breakthroughs in universal genetic compatibility had earned her this historic opportunity. The docking proceeded smoothly. Sarah stepped through the airlock, her environmental suit sensors confirming the atmosphere was safe as promised. She removed her helmet, revealing Asian features weathered by years of research in harsh environments. Welcome, Dr. Chen. Ambassador Krell's translator rendered his clicks and chirps into smooth English. We are honored by your presence. Sarah smiled, her eyes bright with scientific curiosity. The honor is mine, Ambassador. Your biology is fascinating. The crystalline structures integrated with organic tissue, the distributed nervous system. I have so many questions. For 3 days, the meetings proceeded better than either side could have hoped. Sarah's insights into xenobiology impressed even the Nexar's most skeptical scientists. Her theories about universal genetic compatibility seemed to solve problems that had plagued their enhancement programs for generations. Then everything went wrong. It started with a simple request. Dr. Chen, one of the Nexar scientists, asked, "Would you be willing to provide genetic samples to verify your theories?" "Of course," Sarah replied, "though I should check with Earth Command first. There are protocols." "We insist." The Nexar's friendly demeanor vanished. "Your research is too valuable to wait for bureaucratic approval." Sarah stepped back, reading the sudden tension. "I'm sorry, but I cannot proceed without proper authorization." "Perhaps we can." She never finished the sentence. The stun blast caught her squarely in the chest. As she crumpled, her emergency beacon activated, broadcasting on all frequencies. The Nexar scientists turned to Ambassador Krell. She knows too much. Her theories about genetic compatibility. They would give other species the ability to resist our enhancement programs. Our method of absorption would become impossible. "Then we'll send a message," Krell replied coldly. "One that shows what happens to species that don't understand their place." They were efficient, clinical. By the time Sarah's body was discovered by the station's neutral security forces, the Nexar had already departed, leaving behind a formal statement claiming she had suffered an unfortunate accident due to atmospheric incompatibility. They expected Earth to protest weakly, then accept their explanation out of fear. After all, what could one primitive species do against the mighty Nexar Dominion? The response from Earth came 3 hours later. A single text transmission, broadcast on all frequencies. Diplomatic relations suspended pending investigation. Stand by for proportional response. The Nexer dismissed it as empty words. But in the following days, something strange happened. Human ships quietly withdrew from their usual routes. Research stations went dark. Trade ceased without explanation. In the Nexer High Council, Ambassador Krell reported with mild concern. They're hiding. Supreme One. As expected from a weak species, the Supreme One's crystalline form pulsed with colors of uncertainty. Are they hiding? Or are they preparing? What could they possibly prepare that would concern us? The answer came 1 week later, when the first Nexer military installation vanished without a trace, its quantum communications cutting off mid-transmission. The Dominion was about to learn that sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones that let you think they're prey. Fleet Admiral Helena Torres stood at the viewport of Earth's supposedly civilian space station Artemis, watching as another research vessel quietly transformed. The ship's innocent exterior panels slid away, revealing weapon systems that shouldn't exist according to official specifications. Similar scenes played out across human space, hidden military installations emerging from beneath civilian facades, research stations revealing their true nature as fortress complexes. Status report, she commanded, her silver hair reflecting the starlight. Operation Ghost Protocol at 70% completion. Admiral, her AI assistant responded. All civilian personnel have been evacuated from potential combat zones. The Nexer still show no sign of detecting our preparations. Admiral Torres allowed herself a grim smile. For 50 years, humanity had maintained an elaborate masquerade, presenting themselves as technological underdogs while quietly building one of the most advanced military forces in known space. Now, after Dr. Chen's murder, it was time to reveal the truth. In the Nexer High Council, confusion reigned. Supreme Commander Vex, head of military intelligence, projected a galaxy map showing human activity, or rather, the suspicious lack of it. They've completely withdrawn, he reported, mandibles twitching nervously. Every human ship has returned to their territory. Every station has gone dark. We're detecting massive energy signatures from their systems, but our probes can't penetrate their sensor screens. Ambassador Krell chittered dismissively. Clearly they're cowering. Supreme One, their primitive technology. Primitive. A new voice interrupted. Counselor Merrick's, the Dominion's chief scientist, emerged from the shadows. Did any of you actually analyze Dr. Chen's research before killing her? The chamber fell silent as Merrick's projected his findings. Her theories about genetic compatibility weren't just advanced, they were impossible. The mathematical models she casually discussed require computing power far beyond what their public technology could support. Either she was a singular genius who made impossible leaps of logic, or the Supreme One prompted, or they've been hiding their true capabilities. Consider, has anyone ever actually seen their military installations, their weapon research facilities? We assumed they were primitive because they showed us exactly what we expected to see. In Earth orbit, the civilian facade continued to fall away. The lunar tourist facilities transformed into fortress bunkers. The Mars colonies revealed massive underground military complexes, and from hidden shipyards throughout the solar system, vessels of war emerged, sleek, deadly, and powered by technology that the Nexer had thought impossible for centuries to come. Message from Fleet Command, the AI reported to Admiral Torres. All civilian assets secured. Military transformation at 90%. Permission to proceed with Phase 2. Torres studied the tactical display, showing the positions of Nexer installations across their territory. 50 years of patient intelligence gathering had given Earth the location of every significant military target. Initiate Phase 2 and send a message to all commands. Remember Dr. Chen's protocols. The protocols in question had been established by Sarah Chen herself, years before her death. Guidelines for ethical warfare, ensuring minimal civilian casualties, and maximum precision in military strikes. Even in death, her influence would help humanity maintain its moral compass. Deep in Nexer space, the first signs of humanity's true nature began to appear. Sensor stations detected ghostly readings, ships that appeared and disappeared too quickly to track, energy signatures that defied known physics, and communication patterns that suggested coordination on a scale the Dominion had never achieved. Supreme One, Counselor Merrick's voice shook slightly. We're detecting quantum disturbances throughout our territory. The humans, they're using transportation technology we thought was theoretical. They're not just advanced. They're beyond us. The Supreme One's crystalline form darkened with fear. How? How did we not see? The evidence was compelling. While other species had focused on linear technological advancement, humanity had developed in multiple directions simultaneously. Their ships didn't just have better weapons, they operated on principles that suggested a fundamental understanding of reality that went beyond conventional physics. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy began to adapt to the new reality. The Chen protocols became the standard for technological development across civilized space. Species that had been absorbed by the Nexer began their transitions to independence, guided by human advisors. And gradually, the truth about humanity's technological development became clear. We never hid our true nature, Director Paddle explained to a gathering of galactic leaders. We simply hoped we wouldn't need to demonstrate it. Every human ship carried warnings about their defensive capabilities. Every human station broadcast its true power signature. You just had to know how to look. 1 year after Dr. Sarah Chen's death, the neutral station became the headquarters of the new Galactic Scientific Coalition. In the Memorial Garden, a quantum-etched plaque carried her final message. The greatest power is not in what we can destroy, but in what we choose to preserve and protect. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity wasn't just another spacefaring species. They were what every civilization could become when they balanced advancement with ethics, power with restraint, and justice with mercy. As Admiral Torres prepared to return to Earth, she found Ambassador Krell in the observation dome, watching human ships teaching Nexer crews the basics of quantum navigation. "Do you know what truly terrifies us?" he asked. "Not your military power, but the fact that you achieved all this while still focusing primarily on medicine, art, and exploration. We've seen what you can do when provoked, but we still don't know what you can do when inspired." Torres smiled, watching a group of human and Nexer scientists discussing theoretical physics. "Then perhaps it's time to find out, together, this time." The stars sparkled in the viewport, holding the promise of a future where technology served wisdom and power was tempered by compassion. It wasn't the end humanity had sought, but perhaps it was the beginning Dr. Sarah Chen had died trying to achieve. 0 deaths on either side, Admiral, her eye confirmed. 16 minor injuries among Nexer personnel, all from their own evacuation procedures. All military targets neutralized with minimal environmental impact. The message was clear. Humanity could have destroyed them, could have taken revenge in blood and fire. Instead, they were showing the galaxy a different kind of strength. The power to win without destruction, to defeat without death. In a hidden facility deep in Nexer space, Ambassador Krell watched the systematic dismantling of his civilization's military might. A human quantum operative materialized in his office, her armor making her seem more like a ghost than a soldier. "Dr. Chen believed in your people's potential to grow beyond this," the operative said quietly. "She died trying to help you become better. Remember that when this is over." As Operation Daybreak continued its inexorable advance, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. This wasn't just a military action. It was a demonstration. Humanity had hidden its true nature not out of fear, but out of hope that they wouldn't need to reveal it. Now, forced to show their hand, they were doing so in a way that honored the principles of the woman whose death had triggered this response. The message was being written across the stars in deactivated weapons and disabled warships. Humanity had mastered not just advanced technology, but the wisdom to use it properly. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session for the first time in 3 centuries. Representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations gathered to watch footage of humanity's ongoing operation against the Nexar Dominion. Elder Valon of the Arcturian Alliance, her crystalline form shimmering with anxiety, addressed the assembly. What we are witnessing defies all our assumptions about human technological development. Observer Zix, your species has monitored Earth the longest. Explain. Observer Zix, a being of pure energy contained within a mechanized shell, moved to the center of the chamber. We were deceived, but not by lies. Humans showed us exactly what they wanted us to see. We assumed their focus on medical science, environmental restoration, and cultural exchange indicated technological weakness. The chamber's holoscreen displayed footage of the latest human precision strike. The EFS Starweaver, under the command of Captain Luis Ramirez, approached a Nexar weapons research facility. Instead of conventional weapons, the ship projected a field that simply transformed the facility's military technology into inert matter, leaving the civilian research sections untouched. Impossible, whispered the Retaliation ambassador. The energy calculations alone. That's what we thought, Zix continued. But consider, humans mastered quantum mechanics while still burning fossil fuels. They developed rudimentary AI while still using silicon computers. They achieved faster than light travel while most of their population had never left their planet. They don't develop technology linearly like the rest of us. In the depths of space, the precision of humanity's operation continued to astound even their opponents. Commander Sarah Wong of the EFS Lightbringer demonstrated this as her ship encountered a Nexar battle fleet protecting a civilian habitat. This is Commander Wong to Nexar Fleet Command. Your military vessels have 30 seconds to power down. The civilian habitat will not be harmed. The Nexar commander, desperate to maintain some semblance of control, positioned his ships to use the habitat as a shield. It was a standard tactic, one that had worked countless times in previous conflicts. Wong's response demonstrated why humanity's approach to warfare had evolved beyond such considerations. Her ship deployed what appeared to be a net of quantum filaments, threads of possibility that wrapped around the Nexar ships. In an instant, the entire fleet found itself relocated 2 light-years away, their weapons transformed into abstract art sculptures. The habitat and its civilian population remained untouched. Back in the council chamber, the representatives watched in stunned silence as similar scenes played out across Nexar space. Humanity wasn't just winning. They were redefining what victory meant. Notice, Observer Zix pointed out, how they're systematically preserving all of Dr. Chen's research facilities. Even in military action, they're honoring her scientific legacy. The Meridian Consciousness, a collective of linked minds, pulsed with realization. They're not just demonstrating military superiority. They're showing us what they chose not to be all these years. In her command center, Admiral Torres received a priority communication from Earth's diplomatic corps. Director Amara Patel appeared on her screen, her expression thoughtful. Admiral, we're receiving inquiries from every major galactic power. They're not just concerned about our military capabilities. They're fascinated by our restraint. Torres nodded. Dr. Chen always said that true power isn't in what you can destroy, but in what you choose to preserve. How are the Nexar responding to the latest proposals? Their leadership is beginning to understand. Watching their seemingly invincible military get systematically transformed into abstract art has been educational. The operation continued with mathematical precision. Human ships appeared and disappeared like quantum ghosts, each strike reducing the Nexar's military capability, while demonstrating an ever higher level of technological sophistication. In a secure bunker, the Supreme One of the Nexar watched their empire's military might dissolve like morning dew. How? They asked Ambassador Krell. How did we misread them so badly? Krell, his scales dulled with stress, gestured to a holoscreen showing the human medical ship providing aid to civilians on a Nexar colony. Because we saw their kindness as weakness, their preference for peace as fear, and their sharing of knowledge as primitive simplicity. We never asked why a species that could fold space like paper chose to travel slowly through the stars. The Galactic Council's emergency session stretched into its second day as more footage poured in. Human ships were now deploying technology that seemed to defy the very laws of physics, not through brute force, but through an understanding so profound it appeared almost mystical. They're not just ahead of us technologically, observer Zix concluded. They're operating on principles we haven't even discovered yet. And the truly frightening part, this still may not be everything they can do. 1 month after Operation Daybreak began, humanity called for a ceasefire. The Nexar Dominion, their military capability reduced to precisely 0, had little choice but to accept. The location chosen for the peace conference carried its own message, the neutral station where Dr. Sarah Chen had died. Admiral Torres stood at the same spot where Sarah had first made contact with the Nexar. The station had been transformed into a memorial, its crystalline walls now displaying the continuous holographic record of human achievement. Not their military victories, but their scientific and cultural accomplishments. A fitting tribute, Ambassador Krell said quietly, approaching with his escort of quantum-locked human guards. We never understood what Dr. Chen was trying to tell us. That advancement without ethics is just sophisticated barbarism. Torres suggested. She believed in sharing knowledge, not hoarding it. In lifting others up, not absorbing them. The peace conference gathered in the main chamber, now renamed the Chen Memorial Hall. Representatives from every major galactic civilization attended, not just to witness the formal surrender of the Nexar Dominion, but to understand what this meant for the future of galactic society. Director Amara Patel presented Earth's terms. They were not what anyone expected. The Nexar Dominion will not be dissolved or punished, she announced. Instead, you will be transformed. All the species you absorbed will be given self-determination. Your empire will become a cooperative alliance, with Earth providing technological and scientific guidance under the Chen protocols. The Supreme One, their crystalline form now a humble shade of blue, spoke. After what we did, you offer help. Dr. James O'Connor, now head of the Chen Institute, stepped forward. Sarah believed that every species could evolve beyond their worst instincts. She died trying to help you. We honor her memory not by destroying you, but by helping you become what she thought you could be. The terms were comprehensive but not punitive. The Nexar would retain their territory but transition from an empire to a federation. Their forced genetic enhancement programs would be replaced with voluntary genetic counseling, using Earth's more advanced and ethical techniques. Most surprisingly, humanity offered to share some of their technology, under strict ethical guidelines. But your military advantage, Supreme Commander Vex protested. You're giving up your edge. Admiral Torres smiled. Who said this was our edge? What you saw was our response to a single act of violence against one of our citizens. Do you really think that was everything we can do? The implication sent a shiver through the assembly. If this level of technology was what humanity was willing to reveal in a limited police action, what were they truly capable of? Observer Zix addressed the Galactic Council as the peace terms were being finalized. We need to reevaluate everything we thought we knew about technological development. The humans didn't just leap ahead of us. They took a different path entirely. Because we saw what we wanted to see, Ambassador Krell whispered, finally understanding. A simple species, barely reaching for the stars. We never asked why they seemed so unafraid of us, why they shared their advances so freely, why their civilian ships carried shields that could withstand military-grade weapons. In her command center, Admiral Torres received the final confirmation. The massive holographic display showed green status indicators across human space. 50 years of preparation, of hiding their true nature, had paid off. Humanity was ready. Send the final warning, she ordered. Give them one last chance to make amends. The message that flashed across every Nexar communication system was simple. In memory of Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth demands justice. You have 6 hours to surrender those responsible for her death, and make full reparations. After that, we will demonstrate exactly what humanity is capable of. The Nexar High Council received the message with growing horror as their sensors detected human ships materializing throughout their territory. Ships that made their most advanced vessels look like primitive toys. The masquerade was over. The predator they had mistaken for prey was about to show its teeth. The 6-hour deadline passed in silence. The Nexar, convinced of their superiority until the very end, had chosen to ignore humanity's warning. Admiral Torres watched the final seconds tick away on her quantum chronometer, then nodded to her command staff. Begin Operation Daybreak. Across Nexar space, reality itself seemed to shiver. Human warships emerged from quantum shadows, their hulls absorbing light in ways that defied physics. These weren't the simple vessels the aliens had dismissed. These were the products of 50 years of hidden technological advancement. The first target was the Nexar's primary military shipyard in the Centauri sector. Commander Maya Patel, daughter of Indian and Nigerian quantum physicists, led the attack. Her vessel, the EFS Nightshade, appeared directly above the massive installation. This is Commander Patel of Earth Fleet. In accordance with Dr. Chen's protocols, you have 5 minutes to evacuate all personnel. Resistance will not be acknowledged. The Nexar commanders, still clinging to their perceived superiority, launched their defense fleet. 40 ships, each considered the pinnacle of their military might, surrounded the lone human vessel. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Nightshade, initiate Containment Protocol 3. A sphere of distorted space expanded from her ship, enveloping the entire Nexar fleet. When it cleared, their ships remained, but every weapon system, every military-grade system had been systematically disabled, reduced to their component atoms. How? The Nexar commander's transmission crackled with disbelief. This is impossible. No, Maya replied. This is humanity showing you what we chose not to be, until you gave us no choice. Similar scenes played out across Nexar space. Earth's fleet demonstrated capabilities that the Dominion had thought impossible. Ships phased through supposedly impenetrable shields. Quantum torpedoes bypassed defensive screens by shifting between realities. Each strike was precise, calculated, and absolutely unstoppable. In the High Council chamber, Supreme Commander Vex watched in horror as reports flooded in. They're not just attacking. They're systematically dismantling our entire military infrastructure. No casualties, no collateral damage. They're just erasing our ability to fight. The Supreme One's crystalline form had turned almost black with fear. Launch the Doomsday Fleet. Activate the planet killer weapons. Show them the true might of the Dominion. But when their commanders tried to access their ultimate weapons, they found them already gone, transformed into inert matter hours before by infiltrators they had never detected. On Earth, Dr. Sarah Chen's research team watched the operation with mixed emotions. Dr. James O'Connor, her former deputy, monitored the tactical feeds. They still don't understand, do they? Sarah wasn't just sharing biological research. She was assessing their ethical capacity for advanced technology. The Nexar's fatal mistake hadn't been killing Dr. Chen. It had been proving her final report correct. Her last transmission to Earth, sent seconds before her death, had been simple. They're not ready. Implementation of Protocol Omega authorized. Protocol Omega, the contingency she had helped design, was now being executed with devastating precision. Human forces weren't just defeating the Nexar. They were doing it in a way that demonstrated the very principles of ethical warfare that Dr. Chen had championed. Admiral Torres received the midpoint operation report with satisfaction. Casualty report.